All right, hey, this is Miss Weaver, and this is the Section 5.1 videos, Part 1. All right, so in this first part, we are just going to talk about the definitions that you'll want to make sure and know, and at kind of what level do you need to understand those definitions. All right, so I'm going to try and leave this and have this always as a tile or a slide for us to have, just as a reminder that I'm going to try to make sure to identify the topics as skills that are just existence level, supported, independent, or lifetime. So some of the things in Chapter 5, especially as we move on to other sections, will be existence skills. A lot of what we do in Chapter 5 will be supported. A couple of things will be independent, and there are one or two things that we'll consider lifetime skills. So just keep that in mind. I'll kind of continue to show this slide just so that you all can become familiar with it. Okay, so the definitions that we want to really focus on for Chapter 5, Section 1, and I'm going to just go through the guided notes. I'm going to kind of scroll through them here and make sure that I hit everything. Maybe. I'm selecting it on my computer and it is not letting me see it. There we go. And so when we're looking at Section 5.1, there are a lot of very basic definitions at the beginning. And of course, you really do want, I guess, a supported level of understanding of this. So if you see a word that you don't understand, you're going to want to be able to go back and find it. Some of them you're going to just need to know. Things like in the long run, in the short run. A simulation, I'm going to mention, what if we use a simulation? What if we simulate this using StatCrunch? And you just need to know what I'm talking about. Just the general, you don't need to memorize the definition. You just need to understand what that means. The law of large numbers, you do want to make sure you understand the big idea of the law of large numbers, which of course, let's go ahead and maybe write that one down. So, and this is just my own words. This isn't a book definition. So, law of large numbers. Basically says that the more repetitions of a random process. So now this is something like shooting a free throw, rolling a die, flipping a coin. Maybe we're flipping a thumbtack. Maybe we're tossing those pig-shaped dice that they mention in the interactive video, the Pass the Pigs game. I love that game, by the way. So something random. So the more repetitions of a random event, comma, just as a, so again, this isn't a great sentence. This isn't a beautiful definition. This is simply in my own words. So the more repetitions of a random event, the closer we get to the true probability of that event or outcome. So let's say that I have a thumbtack and I want to know what are the chances if I drop this thumbtack from a foot above a table, so just 12 inches above the table. If I drop this thumbtack and let it bounce and land, is it going to land point up or point down more often? Well, that's one of the kind of hands-on activities that we usually do in when we're in the classroom. Unfortunately, we won't get to do that this summer, but that's something that we don't have a theoretical. So if you think about the 3 types of probability that you've already heard, we don't have a theoretical probability for that. We don't know if we have equally likely outcomes. So instead, we would have to come up with an empirical probability. So that's our law of large numbers. You definitely want to make sure you're familiar with that. And let's see here. If, and of course, events versus outcomes. So all the possible outcomes, and then an event could be any sub-collection of that. And it's pretty much most of the definitions. So there's lots of just very, very basic words that we need to make sure we know when we hear them again. So these aren't definitions, for the most part, that we need to memorize word for word.